Well, hello, everybody. I'm Dustin Huffman with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. We all know that 2022 is an election year, and in Iowa, it's especially important as we pick a candidate for governor. Now, we decided to reach out to all the campaigns of the governor candidates and ask them the same ag related questions. We talked about rural prosperity, the future of biofuels, and what future agriculture plays in cleaning up air and water quality in the state. Each candidate received the questions, had the same amount of time to answer, and here's what they had to say on each topic.
Hi there, Deidre DeJear, and I have the honor of being the Democratic nominee for governor in our great state. Originally from Mississippi, I come from a family of sharecroppers in the state of Mississippi. Went to Drake University and came to Iowa by way of Oklahoma. And I married a man from a cattle ranching family in the state of Oklahoma. I feel a great deal of gratitude to state. I've gotten a great deal of avenues to, one, start a business, learn in this great state, connect with my community, and problem solve for the good. And I'm running for this office because I believe in our state. I believe in what we're capable of, and I want us to have a prosperous future for years and years to come. I've always been connected to rural America, whether I was in Mississippi. When we moved to Oklahoma, my father was opening up home care agencies in rural Oklahoma. And when I came to the great state of Iowa, obviously was connected to a rural community that was strong in nature, but more importantly, was insistent on overcoming any challenge. We see a great deal of real resiliency that happens in rural Iowa all across. And while I live in Polk County, one of our urban counties, I am able to talk in Polk County about how the fact that we can live, work, and play in our communities, the fact that I can go to sleep in my community, in my home, the fact that I can wake up and go to work in my community and come home and have fun in my community, go to restaurants. Well, that should be accessible in all 99 counties. I have a real agenda for this campaign. It really stands for real, REAL. And at the top of that agenda is rural revitalization. We are all going to move forward in this state if our rural communities are set up for success. Mind you, our rural communities have been making do with what they have because they're resilient and they're strong in nature. But I want to come and do my part as your next governor. I want to make sure that our rural communities have access to housing, strong quality housing, and not just housing you can rent, housing you can purchase. I'm a small business owner, and I realize that small businesses in this state provide jobs for more than 50% of the workforce. Those are small businesses in our town squares and our towns across the community. Those small businesses deserve access to not only grow, but our small businesses deserve access to be able to provide jobs. I want to make sure that healthcare is affordable for our small businesses to purchase for their employees. I also want to make sure that we're increasing access to childcare. We've lost nearly 40% of our childcare providers in this state. I want to make sure that our students have access to that childcare and our parents. Each and every 3 and 4-year-old across the state deserve access to at least 30 hours of early childhood education. But the other part of it, we've got to, when I talk about small businesses, that is inclusive of our farmers. We have to make sure that our farmers can succeed, whether they're in small operations or they're in large operations. There's a blueprint for our larger operations. We need to make sure that the state has a solid, strong blueprint for our smaller operations as well. These are things that we can overcome and accomplish together. Our state is the field of opportunities. This is who we are. This is what we do. There is no reason for us to take steps backwards. We've got to move forward for the person. We see biofuels as being a transition fuel. And when we talk about this state being innovative in its approach, not just related to, general innovation, we're innovative in agriculture as well. There's a opportunity for us to use biofuels with trains, with planes, with other vehicles that we're not currently using biofuels for. I think it's also important to note that we've got to be well positioned for other energy sources as well, whether it be solar or it be battery. I mean, this state has always been the petri dish for progress and cutting edge as it relates to innovation in agriculture. There is no reason why we can't lead here. We've got to be looking 20, 30, 40 years to our future in efforts to make sure that we have the technology to be able to produce the demands of what's going to happen, because we know that biofuels are cleaner. And we have an added advantage in this state to be able to help support that industry. And so I want to see us continue to lead and continue to compete as Iowa has always done in this arena. I want to be clear about this issue because a lot of times when we talk to about water quality, we point to the farmer and we say, what are you going to do about it? The fact of the matter is we all have a duty to make sure we're cleaning our water, whether we're in rural communities or we're in urban communities or suburban. But what has to happen is that we've got to bring people to the table so that we can actually make sure that we're accomplishing the goals that we want to accomplish related to water quality. We all want clean water, rural, urban, suburban. And in rural Iowa, we not only need the people drinking clean water, we need our animals and our plants receiving clean water as well. And so we can do our due diligence in this state, considering what the Biden administration is doing related to climate, what Cindy Axing has been doing to get us resources around water quality and infrastructure. We have the resources to move this state forward. But what we need is the table. The farmer has to be at the table. The landowner has to be at the table. The insurance company has to be at the table. The educator has to be at the table. We need clean water in this state. We've got a lot of it. There are states that are struggling right now. They don't have water to clean. And so let's take advantage of the blessing that we have in this state and do good by it. We got to leave this land better than the way we found it. And I want to be a partner with the state. We also have to make sure that we're funding these sustainability practices. We can't act as if someone should do it without being compensated for it. If we're asking a farmer to change their business practices, these farmers who are providing jobs and providing for their families, we have to make it worth their while. Investing in sustainable practices is good for all of us. So I want to be a strong partner. We can't regulate ourselves out of this climate crisis that we're in right now. But what we can do is invest our time and our energy in sustainable practices, as we've always done in this state. We just need leadership that's going to give us a stronger pathway to make it happen in scale. This is an incredible election cycle. And as I've been traveling rural, urban, and suburban, I'm seeing more often than not that Iowans have issues that are in common. We all want a stronger education system in this state. We were once number one in education. Now we're 18, 19 on the list, and we as Iowans know that's not where we belong. We're seeing our schools close, and we know at the sight of our schools closing what that means for the future of our community. Unfortunately, we're seeing in rural communities, our students are graduating from high school, vowing never to come back. I want to give them reason to come back to our communities, but it starts with giving them a solid opportunity at a strong education system. This is true to who we are as Iowans. And unfortunately, we're seeing our education system fall farther and farther down the list, and I want to interrupt that cycle. Not only do I want to deliver a strong quality education system to your community, I also want to make sure that you and your family and your community members are healthy and whole from the crown of your head to the sole of your feet. That means you need access to a strong healthcare and mental health care system as well. In our rural communities, I'm hearing that folks are driving 45, 60 miles to seek care. That's unreasonable. I'm talking to our county hospitals, and it's becoming a challenge for them to provide the quality of service that are owed and that they know you're owed. But the challenges with our system are becoming barriers to you getting that quality of service. We're going to interrupt that cycle. I'm hearing our county jails and our sheriffs tell me that they're being filled with mental health care patients, and they're not equipped to deal with mental health care patients. They're raising their hands saying, Deidre, you guys are turning us into quasi-mental health care practitioners. That's not what we signed up for. We're going to take this mental health care crisis head on and make sure that each and every Iowan has access to the services that they need. And we're not allowing Iowans to fall by the wayside. We also have to strengthen our economy. And when I talk about in Polk County, us being able to brag about live, working, and playing in our community, I want that to happen in all 99 counties. We're looking at our border towns and our river towns. Folks are living in Iowa and working on the other side of the river or working in Minnesota. I want them to work in Iowa. But that means that we have to do the basic things. Getting access to education, not just to our young people, to our adults as well, to our non-traditional learners as well. But that also means we have to increase childcare and make sure that you have quality, affordable housing in your community. These are things that we've been able to do, folks, under both Republican and Democratic leadership. Unfortunately, what we're seeing in this leadership is a trajectory that is unknown to us. We can do something about it, and I know we can do something about it because our Iowa State Constitution says so. In section 2 of the political power section, it says all power is inherent in the people. You see challenges around you? No, the power is in our hands to overcome it, and you can do so on November 8th in this election cycle.